Hey guys, Sunday, November 3rd of 2024. Let's see what the Black Widow wants to do this week. But before I start, I want to do a little housekeeping. There's a couple of things I've been thinking about. One is I have to finish my website. Every time I kind of get momentum and start, I get busy and, life happens and it gets put in the back burner and then it disappears and then I restart. So that's priority number one, get my website up and going so I could kind of just start building some things from there. Second, I've been thinking about doing some kind of community thing. I don't know if it's a Discord. I've been hearing a lot about that. I don't know too much about it, but I see a lot of people and traders and other trading communities do those kind of things. So I'm tossing the idea, but I want it to be very exclusive. I'm not just going to open up a community where we could interact and talk about, Natgas or maybe other speculative trades or research and analysis. I'm thinking about maybe just starting out with 12 people, 12 guys, 12 girls all mixed up. But I want to kind of get the best of the best and just kind of, brainstorm on things. So it's just something I'm thinking about. I know there's a lot of trading communities out there. I just want this one to be different, special. And I don't want a lot of people, so I want it to be exclusive. So I'm trying to figure that out. So I just wanted to put that out there. It may happen, it may not. Maybe I might, try and attempt to do that next year. But I wanted to do is definitely finish my website. I'm going to be working on that. Hopefully I have it up and running before the year ends, or at least when the year starts, it's ready to go. And then the community, where we probably get together, maybe once a week or I don't know, however is best for everyone. But I want it to be exclusive. It's going to be not for everyone. This is just going to be for 12 people. But 12 of the best. So I'm going to leave that out there. I'm going to leave that there. So let's get into it. I got a lot to cover. I just wanted to put that out there. Man, every time I start a video, my nose just starts acting up. Let me get some coffee. Okay. I wanted to start off with the energy sector and kind of just look at what's going on here. So far, these guys are down. Uranium is interesting. I get a lot of people that ask me, what do you think about uranium? What are your thoughts? I am officially not in it. I locked in profits. And I'm just watching it. When I'm ready to invest on it, I will. But as of right now, I'm not. You can see that this is just pretty much chop. Coal is interesting. It's getting a nice bump. Heating oil. I don't know. Maybe this is the beginning. I got to look at heating oil. Ethanol. And obviously, you can see nat gas 265. That's where we're at. If we look at our brothers and sisters, you can see that. If you really want to look at stuff, always look at the monthly and then work your way down. Chop Fest. And it's amazing that within the Chop Fest that we have been and all the chaos with Israel and Iran, it has just been very tight and quiet. Making me think that maybe next year, I don't know, maybe even sooner, things would probably get interesting. But I have to look at the cycles. I have to look at the seasonalities, a lot of things. But throwing a curveball and crude oil with the war has been interesting, that it has just been very, very quiet. And that's the monthly. So that's Chop Fest. Not going up, not going down, going sideways. But you can make money. You just got to be in and out, Same thing with crude oil Brent. Nat gas is the same thing. We've been in a tight range. not going higher. You know, this one looked good, but then it pulled back. Kind of reminds me of the 2023, 2024, 2023, you could say price action, just kind of grinding sideways to higher. And then you get this. And it looks like this could probably be playing out here also. Ethanol, they're around 160. RBOB, very quiet. Elections, so it looks like they like to put a cap on it. Not moving higher, not moving lower, just kind of holding $1.96. And that's pretty much it. Once you look at the weekly, you could kind of see more of the, the swings, but you could kind of see that the momentum is to the downside. And you can see that heating oil hasn't taken out that high. And RBOB is just in a slope downward. So the path of least resistance is to the downside on the energy sector. Natural gas is just kind of sideways. It looks like it wanted to break out, but not really. It's just kind of sideways to lower. Okay, so this is our commitments of traders report, and I wanted to go out a little further than normally. What I do is cover just, maybe a year or two. So I'm zooming out all the way to 2015, and I have none of these guys here. I'm going to start off with large speculators. As you can see, they're somewhere around here, 160 minus 166, 173. They're somewhere in this ballpark of the low of 2018. Not that it means anything, but I'm a little odd. I like to look at commitments of trader reports like it's price action. So I'm seeing this like support, lows over here. And so far, you haven't taken out this one, and it looks like you're somewhere between here, 2021 and 2018, right here. Can large speculators continue pushing it lower? Yeah, they could go all the way here. Wasn't this the 144 low that we'd had printed around February? I think $1.44. Remember that? Can it go in there? Yeah, it's possible. Look how low they've been. Large speculators, which made a low lining up with this one. So this is kind of what I call an FNL, a fail new low. So just using the commitments of traders report, if you see something like this going back, using historical data, and you don't go lower than a lower spot where they went as low as in regards to position, in regards to money, there's a high probability that it might turn. And we're here in this area. So keep an eye on that, and also keep an eye on that. Let's look at commercial. So far, they took out this high, and they're somewhere around here, 162,932. And they took out the 2018 high. So there's conviction here. And your high, according to the data, historical data set that I have, you got one all the way that goes all the way to 2020, which I believe, 2022 was the 1002 high. Must be another high that I don't remember. But the 2020 high here could potentially get up there. And then there's even a higher one, which is the 2015 high. And this is in regards to position. And some may say, well, they're hedging. Let's look at commercial, which is you and me, unfortunately. And you can see they're all over the place. I mean, it looks like they're heading to zero. So retail is, betting or shorting. While Natgas is just kind of trending sideways with, little swings here. So I just wanted you to see the extremes of where we are right now. Now let's focus on at least 2 years. Just kind of get an idea here. So yeah, so this is our February 20 low. What is that, the 144? I can't remember. But anyway, let's look at retail. So retail is still short. Large speculators are short, and interesting, they are just kind of now quiet. You would think they're short, they probably get more aggressive and maybe kiss this low of minus 180. So far, they are around minus 166, and just a little blip there. Nothing different, not that minor. So they're quiet. They're like, okay, so what's going to happen here? Are we going to continue going lower? Or there could probably be a possible turn and then end up, down in December, January, February. That's just kind of like what it looks like. Let's look at commercial, and commercial is just buying. And you can look at commercial two folds. You can look at it two ways. Large speculators, they're directional. So they want to go where the price action is going or where they think is going. And you could just look that sometimes they get it wrong, sometimes they get it right. Here they were going down while it was going up, but then it's now pulling back in, and it's that kind of, thing that sometimes they get in the heat and it goes against it, but then it, Natgas comes back, returns to the means, but they're betting here that it's going to go much lower, and that kind of sort of stuff. Now look at commercial, two folds. You can look at it. Commercial are hedging, thinking that Natgas is going lower, or sometimes commercial, and this was explained to me by a trader, is that sometimes commercial, they're like little swing traders, And I'm not saying that they have inside information, but they're pretty smart, folks. And sometimes they see an opportunity like this, so oversold, that they do go long, but then get out. They just want to get something and then go back and go against it and hedge. So they can kind of go mixed. Large speculators, they just want to follow where they think is going to go higher, and they're betting on that. So when you put commercial, it's rarely you see them together, but if it's trending higher and commercial are buying and then large speculators are buying, at one point in time, commercial are going to reverse their position and hedge. So they made their money here while it was going up, but then started hedging. And you can see the large speculators, it looks like they're not really convinced that it's going to go higher. So they just kind of chop around here. And now they're betting that Natgas is going to go lower. And you can see that commercial are probably either hedging that it's going to go lower. That's what it looks like as of now, because you can see that Natgas is not really going higher. Because if it was going higher like this and they were buying it, you can see that they reversed the position right away. And somewhere around here, August 5th, large speculators said, I think this is it. We're going to start selling. And they started shorting. While Natgas went high, you remember that September 30th high around there? And then pull back. And you can see that large commercial have just been buying. They've been buying since August 5th. They're just, hedging or just buying. So hopefully I explained that, but I want you to see the dynamic and what's important here. So you asked me, so what do you think? Well, large speculators thinks that Natgas is going lower. What evidence they have? I could give you right now. One is seasonality. What does seasonality say? From October to November and December, Natgas gets weak using 20 years worth of data. And there's other things that I could probably point out, but I'm going to be going through the video. But this backs what large speculators are betting that is going to go lower. So that's something for you to think about. Percent of months in which Natgas closed higher than it opened from 2005 to 2024. And you can see that January, February, using, 5, 10, 15, 20 year worth of data, January and February are weak. And using spectrum cycle analysis, there is a cycle that bottoms out on the daily that hits between January and February, and then it turns up. So they got two. They got seasonality backing it up, and they also have spectrum cycle technique that tells them that if that's going to play out, it bottoms out between January and February, and then the daily starts pointing up, while the weekly cycle is already pointing up. And I'll probably go over that on another video. I'm not going to do that today, but I'm just kind of showing you the dynamics of, trying to see the big picture and looking at different data points and data sets and just trying to kind of glue it all together and get an idea, and use probability that why, large speculators are so short. So I got two reasons why. Maybe the spectrum cycle they're probably not aware of, but seasonality I'm sure they probably look at. So let's go to the next clip. Okay, so this is another seasonality chart I like to look at, and you can see that we are right now at November, pretty much the first week of November. And we want to try to figure out what could possibly happen within November. Let's look at 5 years worth, 5-year average in regards to seasonality. So far, it hits a low about February, which we did the low, was it February 20th? It came in a little earlier, February 12th, but you were in that ballpark if you were thinking about going long, so that's not bad. Although it kind of chopped around a little bit. It kind of popped, came back, maybe a fail new low. And then if you look at the what we have done, actually, it went up, kind of went sideways, and then around February the 15th, this is when she started going up. So when you put the 5-year average there, it bottomed out a little early. So you probably felt some pain here and there, but eventually it popped. And you can see that she made a high around June 12th. And on average, it said to watch out for May 22nd and June 11th. So seasonality wise, we nailed it. Going down, she kind of makes a low around July 4th and then rallies. Rallies around here. And we continue going lower all the way to August 5th. And then we turn and follow our swing low from here. And, we make a high on October 2nd or 4th around there, and then sell off into October 18, while the 5-year average was kind of getting toppy. Pull back. Lines are pretty close, maybe not exact, but close in that ballpark, October 17, 18. And I'm assuming this is a change of contract. Things escalate, just pop, escalate. And the 5-year average tops somewhere around October 24th, and then it goes sideways. Now, what I want to focus is here. What are the probabilities that we get another pop somewhere in November and then really start, going down? A couple of dates you want to keep on your radar is November 7th. Remember November 7th? I was thinking that we were going to grind higher and then from there hit November 7th and then go down. It looks like that's not going to play out. So it could probably be a potential low. Also, you want to keep an eye on around November 14. for a possible low. So these are your two dates you want to keep. Make it a sticky note on your paper for a possible. I'm not saying there's going to be a low and we're going to rip. But if we do rip in one of these two dates or in between or earlier, keep an eye that somewhere around November 21st and 26th, that's when she's like, okay, I'm done. The Black Widow is going into the cave to go to sleep for the winter. Let's look at the 10-year. I'm not going to go through all his, kind of similar. Just going to focus here. Same thing, November 7th and 11th. So this one just hits a low and it looks like a fail new low and then rips. But in regards to momentum to the top side, from the 21st to the 26th, she kind of stalls. And keep in mind, the Black Widow likes to play tricks. She might even extend it and push it past it just to trap some bulls and then pull it in. Or maybe earlier. So you just got to be very vigilant, watching price action, because it's kind of like a bell curve. So if you know statistics and all that, you got a bell curve, but it could be here where she she stalls and pulls back. It could be in the middle between these two dates, or it could be after. But this is your bell curve. And we're trying to figure out the time frame and range just in case this happens. And so far, it's in that ballpark of November 7th, 11th, and even the 14th, where there's a bell. And, the same thing goes to the bottom side. It's a bell curve on the bottom side. So it could come here, it could come in between, or it could come in after, and then trap some bears and go. So you have to keep all these scenarios open. But watch price action and then put a rule. Okay, if this happens, then that's when I'm going to go long. So whatever signals you use to go long, whatever that technique is, all right, I got the signal, I'm going to go along. Let's see what happens. Here's my stop, and let's see what happens. I got nothing to lose. And if this happens, then the same thing applies here. I'm not going to get too greedy because there's a lot of evidence that shows that Natgas likes to go lower. So you get my idea? You get the drift? This is the strategy and the game plan, just using data. So let's look at 15-year by itself. So 15 years is like very choppy. So kind of in that ballpark where she makes a high, she pulls in. But 15 years is a little different. She kind of stalls around November 11th. You don't get this little double bottom action and stuff like that, fail new low, like in November 7th and stuff like that. It's just straight up, 15-year on average. Okay, November 11th. So you got November 7th, November 11th, and November, you could say the 14th. Using all three in that ballpark. And that's your date you want to keep on your radar for a possible turning point, meaning that maybe, just maybe, she's probably going to fill that gap that we just created with this pop. So you guys on the same page? You guys understand? You getting the idea that she could continue going lower, but start really dissecting price action from November 7th. You could say 11th, November 11th, and November 14th. And then whatever you use that signals, okay, it's a possible turning point here in this time frame, whatever you're using, moving average, crossover, whatever. I use PPS, I use other techniques. Whatever you look, Kanashi candles turning positive, whatever it is that you go, this is where, if you're going to go long, this is probably where this ballpark is. And that's if it plays out using probability. What could be going against us is that seasonality wise, she's not going to, follow this and maybe just continue selling off like something like this. That's the only downfall. And that's why you put your stop. So if it doesn't happen here, you get out and I said, all right, give it a shot. I tried to see if this was going to play out this pattern and it didn't. But this is where I'm going to think about going long and see if it plays out. And then the same thing here. You don't want to get greedy. It's not going to the moon because you got seasonality and you got cycles against you. So you want to apply the same rule here. if it's going to be turning and I put a trend line, you put an angle, 45 degree, whatever you want to use, geometry, whatever it is, if it closes below the 20, I'm out. Whatever it is that you think, okay, that's it, I'm done. Then this is what you applied over there. I also forgot to include this on the commitments of trader report. Long versus short. These are large speculators. You can see that they're 62.57% short. And there's some that are long, but the shorts are outweighing the longs in regards to large speculators. In regards to commercial, they're 43.34% short and they're long, 56.66. Retail, you can kind of see that they're really flat. They're kind of really close to the zero line. They're a little bit long compared to short, but you know, that's us. We're not really, we don't got the big money like these guys here. This is where we're at. Okay, so this is the last clip, and tomorrow in the morning we'll go over, you know, levels using the midpoint. Things are starting normalizing. I didn't want to kind of look at the charts, midpoints, and the simple glance, just because of the change of contract. There's a lot of anomalies, so things look weird. But we could focus on closes, and this is what we have right now. So first off, let's look at the monthly bar. As you can see, we're negative. We want to keep an eye on this area. 226. We close around 270. So let's see if we could get some bullish momentum and get above 270. And tomorrow I'll be talking about the midpoint for this week coming up. But so far for the monthly level, 270 is your monthly close you want to keep on your radar. In regards to the weekly, you can see that we went down, came up, but went back down. And, you know, we got the gap fill. We'll be talking about it tomorrow. And if it's going to push lower, it could get down maybe to 225. We'll see. We're going to be discussing now if there's a possibility that it could fill the gap and then turn with some of the natural cycles that I have here. I'll start off with putting these on. Let's do this one first. That way you can kind of see the big picture. Okay. So this big green line, using the Quant, using all the data that I have, it indicates the potential of going long, and then from here, nothing. So this was a trade using all the data to go long. You can see that that didn't work out because it pushed lower, unless, you know, you got in around here. And then, you know, change of contract. But it says to get out by 11/6. So that's this green line using all the data. Now this green line, I believe this is just using 20 years worth of data. So that's why it's green, green. It's just picking up from 1010. And then it says you got to get out by the end of the month of November. So even if it does one of these, fills the gap and goes up, you got to get out by November, pretty much the last week of November. And now putting this together with the first clip, or maybe the seasonality clip I showed you in regards to the 5, 10, 15, what, you know, Natgas normally does on average, which is November 7th, November 11th. I can't remember the other one, but you want to keep those on your radar for possible turning point. This one is telling you when, you know, the probability of when the move will end. So somewhere towards the end of the month, if we have a turnaround here, suggesting to get out. This one, on the other hand, is suggesting don't even think about going long, just stay short, because chances are we're going to bottom out into, you could say, December the 23rd, around there. pretty much this one lines up with seasonality, showing that November and December are weak. So this one has a brownie point because this one has backup in regards to seasonality. This one, it's a little more risky if you wanted to go long. We don't have a lot of, I mean, I could show you some things that, but it's all more, probability. Nothing, written in stone. So this one has more backup. Same here with this one. I believe these were 10 years worth of data, but I did this quick and I had to go to church this morning and there's a lot of stuff. But I might have to put the data, the 20, I believe this is all the data. And I believe one of these are 10 and the 20 years of data that I ran the algo to give me these calculations. So to say all this is that if we're getting bullish, watch out for the end of the month pretty much. And if you think we're going straight down, there may be a bounce, but the end game is that it's going to be low. These are your probabilities. And from November 30th, that's either from a pop and then go down or just sideways to then go down. It's indicating pretty much the end of the year, December, around Christmas, to stay there and then get out. And then over here, this is all the unknown, or nothing came up on this side. Or if it did, I didn't write it down because I'm just kind of focusing on November and December. Now that we got that out of the way, now we're going to put our annual cycle. As you can see, it goes down, it digs into November 13th, and then it goes and rallies to like November, you can say December 17th, and then it goes down into February. And we know seasonality-wise, January and February on Natgas are weak. Remember that. That even if we get a rally, and if it's not going to ignore it and follow it, chances are it's going to be a dead cat bounce to catch bulls and then squeeze them. The seasonality-wise, the Black Widow likes to go underground for January and February. And I keep saying it because maybe this could be the year that it ignores it and doesn't go down. So you got to watch price action. This is a cycle that I've been pretty much leaning on. And this remains to be seen. But here, this is one of Gann's theories that I'm using. Here it gets toppy somewhere around December. And it kind of flatlines and then it goes down into, you could say, January the 22nd. And then it kind of gets a bump. This is all speculation. But if you put the solar cycle, you see that there is some kind of retracement into, you could say, November, December. And then they pull back. However, the red one, when I say the red projection line, always remember this. And this is where we're at right now. So it's like it's going to pop and grind, but then it's not really going to go, it's going to be a quick turn and then it goes down. So always remember that when I say red projection line, that's the one I am referring to. So let's look at our other cycles here. So this is the annual. It's the same thing as the solar cycle. If you look at it, same thing. Let's look at our fast annual. So this is just 3 years worth of data. And you can see that right here, this is where it gets toppy. And then from here, it goes all the way down. However, using 3 years worth of data, it takes you all the way to 1216. And then you kind of get this little rally, which is like a head fake or a dead cat bounce, bull trap, and then it really plummets and then finds support around February. Didn't we get our low on February 20th? What was that? I can't remember the number now. So 152? Can't remember. You'll check. But there was a low on February 20th. Maybe that was the 152. So you could kind of tell that there is something going on February that it finds a low. Using our midpoint, or not midpoint, I'm always used to saying midpoint, mid-annual. So this is 6 years worth of data, and it's indicating a possible pop, or, you know, a little maybe fill in the gap, and then, you know, who knows, the weather, the hurricanes, whatever, tornadoes, whatever it is that's going on in the coast, get this nice pop and then fall down, and it lines up right here, which this December right here. A lot of these point to this area right here. So this is 6 years worth of data, and then you get this little pop, which kind of reminds me, this one comes in earlier on the 16, and this one comes in around where all these algos, the quants are showing 12, 24, around there, Christmas time, and then kind of going down. However, the red one that I'm following, it's a descent all the way to January the 23rd. So that's that. And then the annual decimal, which is a 10-year. See if we can make this a little thicker. I think it's important. This one pulls in around November 19th, pop, December 5th, and then it pulls back down. This one is odd. I mean, it rallies into next year. So this is something that will be like, wow, it's going against, you know, I mean, maybe not going against the trend or seasonality, because December is weak, but then you get this thing. So that all remains to be seen. Lastly, what I want to show is using 10 years worth of data. This is a technique from Gann, and it shows, so you're looking pretty much 10 years in the past, what prices has done on average in November. And you can see 10 years ago, she made a high around the 20th. And then pulls back. And look at this. Look at this. Look at that sharp kind of bounces sideways. And then where does this sharpness or drop kicks in? Look where everything is lining into here. I'm not saying it's going to happen exactly. It's not the crystal ball, but I'm just showing you what, you know, what Natgas has done in the past in regards to, past price action. So there's something going on here with seasonality where things just kind of drop. And then you kind of get this bounce. And then in February, the 6th, it finds the low. We had a February 20, I think that's 2024. At 152, we made a low. And then from here, we rally. So somewhere around here, maybe might push into March to trap some bears, but then you get this kind of rally. Anything that rhymes here? No, nothing there. Nothing there. Yeah, you can say the 3-year kind of coincides with the 10-year price action, and even the 6-year. 6 years seasonality lines up with the 10 years ago price action. Gann also said to look at 20 years. So let's look at 20 years. And 20 years is interesting. It's like rock and roll volatility. We go down, up, spike down. We went up, pulled back, went up, and then back down. So this looks like an inverse of what normally Natgas would do, going to the top and then down. And then a pop, and then down into February, and then whatever happens into March. And that's what, the 22nd? So right there, this is a Gann technique. You can look at 20 years ago, 20 years ago, and look at 2024. You could have been already thinking, you know what? I smell maybe a turning point here. And this is a speculative trade. So this is a mindset of Gann that you would be like, okay, what's the high probability that we turn in 2024 on February the 20th? 20 years ago, on a close basis, we did it on February the 22nd. So that's that. Let's take that out. Let's close this. What are my final thoughts? A couple of things. Let's put the rep projection line. Oh, before I even do that, let's go into our market glance. Trend, sideways. This is technical analysis. It has a little edge of 1. This one is 0. These are technicals, so it's 2. Weekly trend is positive, it's 1. Daily trend is positive, it's 1. So these two are bullish. Weekly spectrum cycle is positive. Why am I saying it's positive? 1, because the 229th cycle is up. I'm going to be showing you something here too. The daily cycle spectrum is negative. Why is it negative? Because the daily spectrum cycle is 255 and it's pointing down. So you got a weekly cycle that's up, you got a daily cycle that's down. The 4-hour chart is positive. It regards some signals and indicators that I use. The 1 hour right now is bearish. Seasonality is positive. Why seasonality is positive? Because we're in that window where October could be the high or it could be November. And I've shown you proof and data using the 5, 10, and 15 year and using this chart that I have behind here, my spreadsheet, that there are probabilities and there are circumstances where Natgas, especially putting a high in October, would bounce. The question is, will it take out that high or do a little bounce that can bounce and then continue going lower? So we're in that situation is we got our high of October. She could just kind of zigzag her way down into January, December, around there. Or she could do what she normally does, which is the Black Widow, just trying to get liquidity, bounce somewhere in November. Could be a dead cat bounce, not take out, the highs, 290s or whatever, and then zigzag her way down into November, December, even January, and know that February is a possibility. So that's why I have it there. I should probably just put 0 because it could go either or. But I have it positive just because once November is done, and we hit the last week, I'll definitely put that to either 0 or negative because December is just pretty much down in January, and January and February are negative. Commitments of Traders Report, I have it negative. You know why? Because the large speculators are short and commercial are long. That's not bullish. So Commitments of Traders Report, the big money is betting that natural gas is going to go lower. So you have to keep that in your analysis, in your equation. Now, what's this down here? Well, you know what? Truth of the matter is that if this is a wrong cycle and this cycle is not working on Natgas, there are 2 more on the weekly that are bearish. And that's why I'm putting a question mark. Is the 143 and the 125 are bearish. Maybe they're not as positive or strong as the 229, but they're there. And when I notice from cycles, sometimes they get influenced, they get grow, and they get stronger, but right now they're weak. And then the stronger ones start losing influence, and then they start diminishing, and they start degrading. And since we're dealing with probabilities, we don't know. We just see the data. We're just trying to analyze it. So this is the bearish view, or the bearish thesis in regards, but I'm leaning on this one. And now, you thought we were safe on the daily. Right now, the daily spectrum cycles are negative, so which coincides with the seasonality we were in, where October's a high, and November, December, January, February are weak. This backs it up. Now, let's say that the daily cycles are wrong and that natural gas this month into December, January, February are going to skyrocket and continue going higher, and it's going to be in sync with the weekly cycle. And you know what? I got you. I got this cycle of 329 that I'm watching that is bullish, but I have a question mark. So if price action starts going high and takes out the 315 and kisses, 340, 350, and we are, November, October, December, and January, and we're already hitting $4, and something's weird, something's off, and that could be that this is not it. These cycles, the daily and the weekly, are in sync, and price action could continue grinding higher. But, I'm ahead of myself. I'm just kind of showing you what I'm seeing, and I'm always looking at both sides to see where I could be wrong and where, the curveball is coming from the Black Widow. So with all that being said, and all the stuff I showed you is a lot to digest. I know it's a lot. It's probably brain overload. But this is the way my mind works and the way I see things. But right now, we have to see, the first thing is the gap fill. Are we going to fill in that gap? And once we fill it, are we going to bounce with the dates that I told you from this whole video that I show you, which are important you want to watch? If we get that bounce, then just be cautious and don't get greedy, because I don't think we could continue going higher. There's going to be some turning points that could go. And knowing all the stuff I showed you, the Commitments of Traders report, seasonality, the commercial, the buying, large speculators shorting, and then you could just put your other analysis in regards to fundamentals and storage and the weather, and you can forecast all that. I don't cover all that because, I'll be making a video for like a whole week if I want to include all that. So you probably could find all the weather stuff somewhere else, and, the storage, technicals and all that stuff somewhere else. I just cover the Gann theory, stuff that, a lot of people won't cover. And that's pretty much my specialty. So let's see how we're going to go here, navigate November into December. And tomorrow I'll be looking at the midpoint charts and looking what levels, especially before the U.S. session. I'm going to sign out. Hopefully you like this video. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know, what do you think? Are we going to grind lower? Overall, what's your thought? Are we going lower? Filling all, there's gaps here, there's gaps here, and there's some gaps down here. Are we filling all this up in pretty much December, January, February, and then go up? Because I'm assuming the daily cycles will be turning also. And know that the daily cycle, this cycle right here, this cycle, the 225, you know where it bottoms out? Right in January. So another thing to keep in mind, that once that daily cycle is up, the Black Widow could do a little capitulation, maybe a fail new low, and then rip if it's not going to follow the daily cycles in the bell curve right here. If it goes a little further out, that's fine, because now you got the weekly cycles are up. The daily cycles are going to be turning up somewhere in January. And if she starts sideways to lower, know that it's just a matter of time where she'll turn, and then things will start going up. I'll leave it at that. And I'm going to sign out, enjoy my kids, have fun, and I'll keep you posted on my thoughts on Natgas.